Welcome to the Made in Monroe podcast. Today, I have the privilege of sitting down with a true pillar in our community. Not only have you heard his name in the business sector, but you've heard it in every philanthropic sector of our community. He's given back to more things in our area than I can name. James, thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
My pleasure.
The Moore name, as I thought about just sitting down today, the Moore name really is a household name. I don't know that anyone in our community has not heard of James and Lynn Moore, and just the ways that you've given back to our community, the ways that you've served our community, but you really chose to plant roots in our community from very early on. So I want to take a walk down memory lane for a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your family and how the business got started here.
Sure. I grew up in Monroe. I was a baby boomer and grew up after World War II in the community. And my parents came and planted roots here, and they were both born out of state. They came back here. They had some family, came back and planted roots. My dad was a World War II veteran, then he was a Korean War veteran. So he came back and planted roots and decided to go in business in Monroe, and it was just a great place to grow up here in Monroe. And a lot of people after World War II came back here and started roots and started families, and we were just part of that.
Right. So I know that the company started off as Kellogg Moore Oil Company,
it did.
Correct? And then you, after you finished at NLU, you
Correct.
Came and started working at the company and eventually took it over and became the owner of the company.
I did.
And it was Moore Oil. So when you took over, what was your initial vision for the company, and did you ever think that it would become what it did?
No, not really. You know, my uncle, Mr. Walter Kellogg, who was one of my mentors, he started the company, and back in the 60s, my dad was able to buy Mr. Kellogg out back in the middle 60s. And when I got out of school, moved off for a while and worked out of state and came back and joined my father in the business. And then unfortunately, when I was 27, he passed away. And so I took the business over. And back then it was a little, we were in the wholesale oil and gas business, and we sold lubricants and petroleum products all around to farmers and contractors. But we were going through a transition, so I kind of made the transition from service stations to convenience stores. So the business was going through a transformation, and but it was a good opportunity, and just roll your sleeves up and go to work, and that sort of thing.
Well, and it taught you a lot.
It did.
It kind of made you who you are today.
It made you who you are. You know, you just when you go through periods like that, you just roll your sleeves up and go to work. I was very fortunate back then when I got started. I had some great mentors in the community. I became good friends with the Ken Andersons and the Tom Scotts and the Saul Mints, and they were always willing to share their advice and counsel me. So they were great mentors for me, a younger person trying to grow up and try to grow a business and start a family here in the community. So I'm always thankful to have those great mentors in the community.
Well, and in turn, I think you've been a great mentor to people in the community. I think there's a lot of young people that look to you.
Well, you try to give back a little bit. You think about those people and the impact they had on your life when you were coming along. And so, if you can partake and give a little advice or be there for someone as they're going through the same struggles and trying to get their business started, it's a good thing. It's something you ought to do, and try to do it when you can, for sure,
So I think in 2006, correct me if I'm wrong, you sold.
I did.
Moore Oil Company.
I did. I had been in the business for a number of years and built up a petroleum business, built up a chain of convenience stores, and in business you always learn a lot of it's about timing's everything, and it seemed like it was the right timing and the right opportunity for me to sell my business. So in 2006, I sold my business to Canadian company that owned Circle K, sold out to them. And so really it wasn't, age-wise, I wasn't ready to quit. So I still wanted to do something. So it was just a matter of transitioning to something else in my life. So I made the decision I'm going to transition into into commercial real estate development. Ended up partnering obviously with your dad and doing hotel development. So it's been very satisfying to me. Wonderful.
So what is the Moore family doing now? What does that look like? I know we just spoke a little bit about how you're enjoying getting to do deals and really work with your kids.
Yeah,
so what does that look like?
I think that's a blessing. I've got my kids are at this point they all live in. They've moved around a little bit around the country a lot, but they're all right now living. Two of them full time in Baton Rouge, and James the three. He's a little Monroe, a little back and forth in Baton Rouge also. But the great thing right now, I'm getting to work with my kids in real estate development. And so I'm getting to do a little mentoring with them and play a role with them, and very satisfying, and do real estate development with them. So very enjoying that part of my life. And the number one priority also is my grandchildren. You and I were talking about kids earlier, but I've got 4 wonderful grandchildren, and just to have that opportunity to spend a little time with them, and that's kind of a high priority right now.
Well, I've been told that you have the kids to get the grandkids.
I do. I told you earlier, I think when you get to this point, your popularity goes full circle. So Lynn and I said we were kind of out of sorts for a while, but now we've come full circle and our popularity has gone up. So but it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Well, you've built an incredibly successful company, but not just a successful company. I think you've built a successful life, both in the business world, in serving and giving back, and with your family. And you really could be anywhere in the country doing what you're doing. Why did you choose Monroe? Why did you choose to keep your business here and to build a family here?
I think Monroe's it's got a lot of history behind it, but I think in one word, it's the people. Mm-hmm. Monroe has just got they've got a great history of leadership in the community. A lot of gentlemen that, again, helped me when I was getting started. But it's just a lot of good people. I think the labor force we got a lot of good people that are devoted, committed people. So finding good people to work here, I found was not a problem. Mm-hmm. And so, you can travel. I love to travel, love to see other places, but there's nothing like coming home and true friends and old-time friends and people you've grown up with. So I'd say the people here.
The people. That's been the general consensus kind of across the board, is that the people really make this community
absolutely
what it is.
Absolutely.
What were some of the benefits that you found to running a business here in Monroe?
Well, I think you can run a business very efficient. I think when you can find the right laborers, people are always the key. You can set the vision and you can set the tone for growing any business, but if you don't hire the right people to support you, then you're not going to get there. And fortunately, I was able to do that, surround myself with good people, and I think that just makes a difference, having the right people to grow your business. So it was an asset for me to be here. You can, to me, headquartered here in a community like his, the cost of living is reasonable here. And again, for people, it's a good opportunity to get involved in the community. So it's one thing to grow outside of here, grow in other markets, but I think it's a plus to be headquartered right here.
If you could give one reason why you would encourage people to stay in Monroe or visit Monroe, what would it be?
I think it's just to have that feeling of being a part of growing and expanding the community, and again, just all the wonderful friends and people you can be associated with. Big's not always better, in my opinion. Right. And Monroe's Monroe's always taken a lot of pride in its community here. I think we've got great leadership, from all the way from City Hall to the Chamber of Commerce, and people take an active part in this community. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a good feeling to get involved in the community. My dad was he was a past president of the chamber, and he was involved in a lot of stuff. So when I got started, he kind of impressed upon me, you need to give back too. Mm-hmm. You need to give back. It's okay to work here, but you need to give back. So, and I think it's important for people to get involved in a lot of our different community projects around.
I think you just said it well, kind of leads into my next question. James, you've been somebody who's not only resided in Monroe, but you've really served Monroe. I can't think of a board that you haven't been on. I can't think of a community event that the Moore family has not been a part of. So how would you encourage people, or why would you encourage people to step out and really get involved in the community? And how do they go about doing that?
Well, I think whether it's reaching out to the Chamber of Commerce or whether it's United Way or Chamber of Commerce, you're going to meet a lot of wonderful people. You're going to serve a lot of good causes in the community. It's going to better our community, and you're going to be a better person for it, is what I would say. I mean, I look back on the different roles I've served and the wonderful friendships I've made, hopefully, been able to play a part in improving the community here. But you're gonna get more out of it. If you volunteer and get involved. I just think it's a wonderful thing. I mean, we got a wonderful university at ULM out there, and Louisiana Tech 30 miles away. So I just think it's volunteer your time and you'll get a lot out of it and make some wonderful friends, and it'll pay off for you and your family.
Well, and I think, too, you want to give back to a community that's given so much to you. And the way I look at it is I'm raising a family here and kids here, too, and I want to leave it better for them than I found it.
Absolutely, absolutely. When you stop and you get to the point, where I am, you just realized how blessed you are. And it didn't just happen. There's just a lot of people along the way that played a part in the success you've enjoyed. And I think it's just natural. You want to try to play your part and give back, and thank all the wonderful people that played a role in you, going in the past. And I would encourage a lot of people, be a mentor for other people, and I think that's important. There's just a lot of young people coming along, and if you can be a mentor and add a little advice, play a little part in their life, I think that's a real positive.
Well, and I don't think it matters your age, too, with giving back. Tell the story. One of my favorite stories is about Lynn's dad, and wouldn't he go to the grocery store? He was like 90-something. He would go to the grocery every week, and you kind of tell the story. Yeah,
well, he was an inspiration to me. Her dad passed away about a year ago, and he was almost 98, and he was a World War II veteran. And he just had this unbelievable attitude, and he wanted to keep giving back and keep encouraging people. And he had a mission at the veterans home out there. He'd go out there every Saturday and visit with all the veterans and take candy and fruit and that sort of thing. And he was just always encouraging people and being an encourager. And I thought, if he's in his 90s, and he's still getting up there and wanting to do it every week with that attitude. He had that great attitude. Now, and I'd sit down with him. The only thing I'd tell him when he got in his 90s, I said, I'm not going to drive with you anymore now. So
I'm not getting in the car with you.
He wanted to keep driving, and I said, now, I'm not going to drive with you. I'll go with you out there, but I'm going to drive. You can't drive. So.
But now, what was the lady's name that would drive with him?
Willie Mae.
Willie Mae. I've heard some stories from her.
Willie Mae would end up driving. She would say, you got to let me drive. So when
she did not want to get in
when
with
he got
him.
to be 90s, I said, now look, you can't drive. I'm not going to ride with you. So, but he was a unique person with a great attitude, and you need people to encourage you and people to have that right attitude, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing when you have people like that in your life,
Right. Well, and it's people to look up to, like you said, being a mentor. I think something, just a simple act like that. I mean, I know for me that made such a big impact just at his age, that it was still important to him to give back, and just a simple act of taking candy and fruit out to the veterans home.
You look back. I'll share a quick story with you. But I was when I lost my dad when I was 27, and I told someone, I said, had a lot of problems at the time in the business and wasn't doing that well, and I thought it was pretty overwhelming. And I thought, what am I going to do now? So I thought, well, the most successful person in our community was Mr. Tom Scott. And he had a huge business. Everybody respected him. He was just had his business acumen, everything. So I picked up the phone. I went over, could I come see him? And he said, well, sure, come on out. So I went out and visited with him, and And I started telling him all my problems and all these issues, and he said, well, James, it's a little overwhelming, isn't it? And I said, well, it's really overwhelming. And he looked at me and he said, you know, you don't strike me as a quitter. I said, Mr. Cotton, I'm not a quitter. He said, tell you what you do. You go back to your office, and next week you make a pad and you list all your problems and all your issues and everything you got, who you owe, and whatever, and you come back next week. And we came back with that list. He said, now let's start working on them one at a time. And he tracked me for the first year.
That's amazing.
So, you know, people like that, you don't forget those people.
Right. Well, James, I think you've been that to a lot of people. So thank you so much just for the ways that you've given back. I know for myself, I don't have a lot of childhood memories that don't involve you guys, that don't involve your kids. I was just telling someone earlier that for my senior trip, I can remember going on a Mediterranean cruise with you guys.
Well, you did.
And it was more fun than anything else. So we've kind of gotten to grow up together.
You know, a lot of family members, memories. I look back and, you know, a lot of wonderful memories with your family. Obviously, a lot of memories with your dad and what we've done over the years together. So it's a true blessing for sure, sure. You know, you just hope you can, you just hope you can play a little part and give back a little and be a mentor to someone in the community. But, you know, I would encourage anyone. Monroe's a great community. It's a great place to live, great place to raise a family, good workforce. You know, get involved, be a part of the community, try to make it better. And it's no better place to run a business and be a part of the community than in Monroe. I think the future looks bright. When I look at the chamber, I was telling someone the other day, we've probably got the best staff I've ever seen at the chamber, and Roy Heatherly, and you know, things are going to be good for Monroe. I think things are on the upswing, and be a part and get involved.
Yeah. Well, there's good momentum now, so I think it's a great time to get involved and find your place.
Find your place, no question about it. And I'll assure you, Roy will put you to work.
He will.
I don't have any doubt. Roy will put you to work, and
I can confirm that.
You can confirm that.
I went to coffee and thought I was going to be doing something way different than what I ended up doing. So I thought we were just going to have coffee, and that's not the case. So,
oh my goodness!
Anyways,
yeah.
But I appreciate you sharing your story with us. I know it's been so impactful for myself and so many others in our community. So thank you for what you've done. Thank you for your time, and thank you for giving back in the ways that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The Monroe loves you. Monroe loves the Moores.
Oh, thank you, Cole.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.